Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Irish Hypnotherapy Conference 2025. And we're meeting the speakers. And today, I am absolutely delighted to welcome a man all the way from Switzerland, Hansrudi Wipf. And I know I haven't pronounced your surname right, so you can actually do that.
Usually, when I teach abroad, I tell my students, you only graduate once you can really pronounce my name correctly.
Fair.
It's like one of those alphabet soups, with
Yeah, it's a difficult one for an Irish person to wrap their head around. We don't normally come across. It's not like Murphy, let's put it that way.
well, yeah. But you teach me some Irish stuff that's difficult to pronounce, and I teach you my name. So
All right, okay. We'll
how
have you
about
talk.
that?
We'll have you saying Siobhan and Sive and all kinds of things by the time you leave.
Y- Yeah, no. Once
Irish
you have had a
names.
few Guinness, you can pronounce anything.
Listen, I am absolutely delighted that you're coming to Dublin in April. I can't wait to see you. We met in Vegas through this year actually. And do you want to give people a background to yourself? Because you run a very large hypnosis institute in Switzerland. You train doctors, you are nurses, you know, you do so much there. Do you want to give people just a background to Hans Rudy and who you are? There's
Okay.
a lot
Well,
of Irish people.
how much time do we have?
Yeah.
No, okay. I'll work on making this compact. But yeah,
Right.
um, well, I grew up in Switzerland, and then when I was 16, my dad um, moved as an expat to Brazil. So I was 16. I moved to Brazil, and there I went to the American high school, and afterwards I went to the US to get my degree in political science at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. That's why this
There's
American
twang that
accent,
comes out there. Yeah.
the
I
American
hear it.
accent, and not anything British or the heavy Swiss accent in the English. And there in the US, I saw a stage show, and I was fascinated by it. And I bought some books and started just goofing around with, it never worked until one day I was back out of college. I was in Switzerland, and I was doing my military service of 2 years. And I had a friend, and I talked about hypnosis, and he said, "Yeah, well, can you do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Oh no." And then I said, "Okay, take a deep breath." And before I even ended the sentence, he was like, "Dong." He was gone. He was a goner, as I call him. And it scared me. Like, oh my God, what just happened? And so that was the moment when I actually caught the hypnosis fever.
Right.
And I became addicted. I bought more books and more books, and I knew a lot but didn't understand it. Let
Right.
me put it this way. I mean, we're talking here 80s, okay?
Yeah,
So, and there we didn't have internet or anything like that.
of course.
So sometimes I stumbled on some books. Like I remember stumbling up on a book in New York on a flea market. So stuff like that, and it just kept adding and adding, but not really knowing what I'm doing. And then afterwards, I went into the German automotive industry. I worked many years for Mercedes-Benz the truck department.
Mhm.
And there, within that job, I moved in 12 years 7 times intercontinentally
Wow.
from one location to the other. So they sent me twice back to Brazil. Or 3 times even. They sent me to the US, to Portland, Oregon, with the Freightliner subsidiary, and to Turkey and to Germany again, and stuff like that. But hypnosis always somehow was part of me. I just felt it. And then in 203, 204, I moved back to Switzerland, went also into the automotive industry. But I built up that idea that I want to become independent one day. And in 206, actually, I heard the first time I heard about Gerald Kine, the founder of Omni Hypnosis and the premier student of Dave Ellman. And Jerry was actually the one who kept Ellman alive in the 80s and 90s by promoting him and talking about him and never hiding where he learned it from. And so in 98, I bought the first videos by Jerry Kine, but I was still in my career mode,
Yeah, of course.
um, in terms of, you know, automotive industry. But he never left, I never lost the interest in it. And then in 206, I actually flew over to Florida, took the training, but with the intent of becoming a stage hypnotist. I never could imagine becoming a hypnotherapist. But then during that training, something funny happened. I saw Jerry working on people and doing things. I was like, oh my goodness, what's he doing? I mean, this is amazing. So for half of the training, I didn't even pay attention because I wanted to learn about instant inductions and everything. And and then when I flew back, I tend to talk a lot about the things that I like. So I talked a lot about hypnosis, obviously. And then one friend of mine came and said, well, does it work for seafood allergies? And I'm like, sure, we got that all the time, as instructed by Jerry to say, when you were asked about, I don't know, ingrown toenails, you say, well, sure, we got that all the time. And so he said, well, can you help me? And I'm like, uh-oh. And I said, sure. Yeah, sure. So that was my very first therapy session was seafood allergy. Whenever he would eat seafood, he would, it would come back up. He would throw up. And all I did was regression to cause, as learned by Jerry, regression to cause. And we solved that in one single session. He was able to eat seafood right afterwards again. That's, with so many things that happen with allergies or fears and whatever, usually are solvable in 1 or 2 sessions.
Absolutely.
It's just you just sometimes have to find out what is the true cause of it. And there's a big discussion in the UK and some areas about regression to cause. And I'm laughing my rear end off.
Hey, Arson, this is fine.
Reading about these discussions, and I'm like, where the hell did you get your training? Who sold you these false information about regression to cause being dangerous, or I don't know, whatever? And I'm like, listen, I've trained thousands of omnis, and we're present in 20 countries. We're in Brazil, in China, we're in the Netherlands, we're in Poland, in many, many other countries. And nobody ever has been able to actually kill somebody with those techniques that we're offering, that we're teaching, And it sounds like, oh my goodness, it's so dangerous, it's so horrible, it's so outdated. And I'm like,
I seem to remember a recording.
It just works. It just works.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
it's amazing.
I use both techniques, so I'm going to stay neutral on all that. You're not getting
we had a fun interview with Carl Smith.
I saw
in Vegas actually about this whole issue, and so I took that training.
That conversation can continue in Dublin, by the way.
Oh yeah, of course. But don't forget, I'm 1.92 m, 6'3".
That's
so
right.
Be careful with arguing with me.
No, I'm not going to be the argument one. No, that's not me. Leave Carol.
No, just kidding. Anyway, I like arguments, and results. Results. That's the only thing you need.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's the result. I let the results speak for themselves. So anyway, when I came back, I started doing therapy. I still had an honest job in the automotive industry, but I was doing hypnotherapy on the side on evenings and on weekends. And then later on, I was invited by Jerry Kine to become one of the instructors. Actually, I was in his first instructor training. So I flew back over to Florida and took that training. And then I came back, and in 2008, I held my first training here in Switzerland. And it really hit the market big.
And is that when you set up the Hypnosis Institute and that you presently have today?
I set up the Hypnosis Institute in Switzerland, Omni Hypnosis Switzerland. And then 4 years later, Jerry designated me as his official successor.
Okay, great.
And, I mean, what an honor, because the guy is was or still is, I guess, a legend. I mean, unbelievable. And then in 2015, a business partner and I, we actually were able to purchase all the rights from Omni. And ever since, Omni is now a Swiss company with American roots. I always say, I will never deny, I mean, where I'm coming from, I don't have anything to hide. My DNA is Omni Hypnosis, Gerald Kine, Dave Ellman, period. And it's, I mean, what an honor that
and it was the first form of hypnosis I was trained in was Dave Ellman regression to cause.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great.
That was my very first training.
Yeah.
And I still use it today. I don't use it all the time, as you know.
Yeah.
But I do use it.
That is okay. I mean, it's the more instruments you know how to play, the better you can make it sound, Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Exactly.
So And the Omni Institute now, because you were just telling me before I pressed record, and I should have been recording at that stage, but
That's
there you
okay.
go. Uh, isn't that life is a lesson you keep learning? Um, the the breadth of subjects or the breadth of topics that you guys actually teach in Omni now, because you were mentioning about nurses earlier that you were just talking to me, but like
Yeah.
such an array of trainings that you do, and including what you
Yeah.
plan to do. You want to
Yeah.
give people
Yeah.
an idea of what that might be?
Yeah. I mean, our core business is the Omni Hypnotherapy training, which is an 8-day full power intensive training,
Hmm.
which I would love to hold in in Ireland, actually. Let's talk about that later.
Let's talk about that.
And so that is becoming a hypnotherapist. But we also now have specialty trainings for nurses, for doctors. We call the one we call hypno nurse. So that's where omni hypnotherapists who come from the hospitals, who work there as nurses, anesthesiologists, personnel. We selected some of the best ones and trained them to become hypno nurse instructors. Hold on, I've got a video call coming in. Okay, now it's off. Good. Sorry about that.
That's
And
all
we,
right.
we we taught them, and they're going out into the hospitals or in our own locations, and they teach other nurses in becoming hypno nurses. So that's 30 hours online and 3 days live. So just like the doctor training, where we have doctors, omni hypnosis trained doctors, obviously, who really know their stuff and also really use it, in
Hmm.
their daily work. There we have doctors then teaching the other doctors in the hypnodoc training. The training is basically pretty much the same. It's about working with fears, with pain, being able to give injections so that the people are relaxed about it, but also how to talk to a patient or their clients, and they work on they learn waking hypnosis techniques, so many things that will make their daily work so much easier.
And learning how to manage it for themselves as well. So take some of the
Yeah,
stress and
yeah. They
their
also
job.
learn self hypnosis in those
Yeah,
3 days, and in order to remain calm
right.
and relax much quicker, because with the day shift and night shift changes, it
Yeah,
can
of
it
course.
can really get to you.
And they
So
see an awful lot of stuff as well
yeah.
that
Oh
most
yeah,
of
yeah,
us
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
see every day,
Exactly.
particularly if it's wounds
Yeah,
you were talking about earlier.
yeah.
You know,
So we have those in the program, and then we also have specialty trainings for once you have become hypnotherapist. One of our key products is the HypnoKids training. That
okay.
is actually my sister teaching it. That's one of our um, core businesses also in the training of hypnotherapists in the HypnoKids techniques,
Is
because kids are a huge potential for change.
absolutely
So,
when you work with them so young, they
oh
don't have
yeah,
to hold on to the crap we did before
oh
someone
yeah,
helped us get
exactly.
rid of it.
They don't have. See, we had time to professionalize our problems.
Correct.
So we don't want it to professionalize the problems.
That's
We
a
want to
lovely way to look at
professionalize
it.
happiness and all those other things. And then we also have the hypno sports training. We're actually here in Switzerland. We're very well known for our work with professional athletes. For example, the Swiss ice hockey national team works with us.
Right.
We've got some of the best tennis players. We've got some of the best decathletes. We've got tons of professional athletes working with us, and I can actually mention, or I could mention their names, because these are official um, partnerships that we have. These are long-term partnerships that are really, really cool to work with. Then we have, I don't know, we have a HypnoCell that's working on cellular level
Okay.
for all kinds of things like injuries, with cancer, with, oh my goodness, with anything that needs help. Yeah.
So I mean, not only do you teach your primary hypnotherapy course and help people out hypnotize, but you specialize into many different sectors. A lot of them
Oh
are
yeah.
medical, almost medical and
Yeah.
sport and children, from what you.
Yeah, and we have many more. Aside
Right.
from that, we also have a training called hypnocardio, which is for hypnotherapists who work with clients who have had a heart attack or a stroke.
Right. Okay.
So, because these people, they very often suffer from fears
Yeah.
and from depression.
And
So
now
all
let
those,
me ask you, because I have
yeah,
to ask this question. In
sure.
the midst of all of that, with the exception maybe of children, and you may even is regression to cause the primary tool?
Yeah.
Okay.
No doubt. No
Yeah.
doubt.
And I just
No doubt.
asking the question, yeah,
Because
because that's what
you
your
need to get
presentation.
you need to get the underlying causes out of the system for the system to be able to heal. In the end, every hypnosis, every hypnotherapy is actually just self-help. We talk to them, and the change, they have to make the change. It's not us.
Absolutely.
So, just like Elman also said, every hypnosis is a form of self-hypnosis in the end, which is true. And
Absolutely.
I also say I've never healed anybody. I've only helped people heal themselves.
Correct.
Period. It's the most natural way. And regression to cause and fix it. There's always the and fix it.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's the therapy part.
Yeah.
Because people very often think that they go to the hypnotist for the hypnosis. No, they're not. And they don't go for the regression. No, they don't.
Oh,
It's
they go for a
actually what
solution.
it's actually what you do after you have uncovered the ISE, the initial sensitizing event, and the subsequent sensitizing events. It's actually what you do with them, the processes that you put them through, that helps them heal. That's the part that we
Yeah.
call the actual
That's the
therapy
therapy
part.
piece. Absolutely.
And there we are, very unique. We were the first ones worldwide, I'm pretty sure, that were certified ISO 9001 in 2015. So we have everything process oriented. Quality management is very high on what our students learn, how they learn it, and what they're able to do after taking the training. So on the first day they leave the training, they can work on depression, on phobias, on pain, on IBS, on migraines. They can work on everything. Now, I'm aware that we're in hypnosis heaven in Switzerland,
Yeah.
because there is no law. Um, um, Law. There's no. I can call myself hypnotherapist.
Yeah. And
The
what's
word
looking like
therapist,
here,
I
Ireland
can
is not
use.
as the US
Yeah,
is very restrictive like that, but
yeah. Some other countries are as
yeah.
well. So, but I am allowed to work on any issue, either medical, or physical or mental. I can work with the worst cases. And we here are also fairly well known to be very successful with traumas. So we have a lot of traumatized people here. Also, some refugees, but also people who have been abused severely in their childhood and stuff like that. Uh, so our techniques work with everything. And
Of
India,
course, you've done a lot of research as well, don't you? You team up and get a lot of research done.
yes, we
Seems a
have.
good bit.
Exactly. We have teamed up with the University of Zurich. Actually, the CEO of, or the president of, the psychiatric ward of the university, his name is on our papers. Um, um, we've done basic research, studying. We've used three forms of measuring the brain. The first one was with fMRI, functional
Mhm.
magnetic resonance imaging. That was the first measuring that we did with 50 people. We analyzed 50 brains, and then we did the EEG. And
Yeah.
now worldwide, I think pretty much for the very first time, we were the ones to successfully measure the brain with using MRS, magnetic resonance spectroscopy, measuring changes in brain chemistry in the brain. And
During a hypnosis session?
no, the MRS is also in the same machine that you measure fMRI.
Right.
So they're all in the brain, they're all in that machine, and then they were, they were measured in the waking state, and then we deepened them into somnambulism,
Mhm.
measured their brains, and then we deepened them into the Estale state, and then we measured again, and those results are just unbelievably solid and robust. Two of them have already been published. One of them on Frontiers, and the other one on Science Direct, and there's another one. The MRS is under peer review currently
Right.
for publishing, but that I guess it's a matter of a few
So it
weeks
shows the
until it's
state of
published.
hypnosis. Does it show what's possible then within that state?
Oh yeah, there it should actually end one of those discussions as well. Um, we we um, we at Omni, at least, we believe hypnosis is a different state, or hypnosis is a state, and it's more so than not just one state. There's at least two different states, which we now have analyzed using fMRI, EEG, which is, it's okay, but MRS, we can show the whole chemical changes in the brain happening, and they're clearly identifiable.
Right.
Clearly
Okay.
identifiable. So all those three papers support actually each other.
Right.
So, that whole discussion about state, non-state, or whatever it is, sorry, it is a state, and not only one, it's at least two. And I
No,
know of
okay.
at least one or two more states that are worthwhile looking into, but we haven't just gotten around to it yet.
And to take it beyond that, then, the use of those states.
Yeah. Well, the use of those states, with somnambulism, we know the effects. You have a slight hypnoanalgesia happening,
Mhm.
which you can increase by giving suggestions of numbness, so that a dentist can work on, on a root canal, or a woman can give painless childbirth or experience painless childbirth, all the way to in somnambulation. We do the whole regression work, obviously.
Yeah.
You need good somnambulism to do regression, but and we believe at Omni, we believe very much into deep levels of hypnosis.
Yes.
And there's another discussion, yeah, you really need deep hypnosis, and you from Omni always talking about deep hypnosis. I'm like, yeah, because the results are just better.
And that's what I was going. I mean, are you talking about, say, trauma-related stuff, or across the
Oh,
board, including
anything,
medical,
anything,
everything? Okay.
anything,
And that's
anything
really what
works
I was trying
better
to
in
get to.
somnambulation, even better in deep somnambulism. And Jerry Kine, he put an end to that discussion. He said, "Why goof around with light levels of trance if it's easy to put people into deep hypnosis? Why? I mean, I don't understand these discussions. I mean, it's." I know those people, and I just simply cannot agree with them. But okay, everybody has a right to be wrong. Um, so, so, but if it's easy to put people into somnambulation, sometimes it just
I
takes
think
an
some of
instant
the
induction,
conversations,
depending.
I think some of the conversations at the bar outside of the actual presentations would be the most interesting for people to be around.
Goodness. But anyway, and then the SDL state, obviously, you have an automatic hypnotic anesthesia coming on.
Yes.
So, and also usually a mental euphoria. And you can use all that, obviously, for surgery, for pain management generally, for burnout recovery, for just relaxation in general. We also use it as the exit base for what we call ultra height and ultra healing. Ultra
Mm-hmm.
height and ultra healing are two levels that let me put it this way, we would place somewhere in the supraconscious part, if there is such a thing as a
I understand.
supraconscious.
Yeah.
But we basically separate the mind from the body and take it up into what Gerald Kine developed, what's called the ultra height level, where people actually get the ability to solve problems on their own, which is an amazing technique and another level of hypnosis,
Absolutely.
where people
Something I,
find the insights to their problems. They understand where it's coming from and how to solve it, and then they can solve it.
and it's both mental and physical, or emotional and physical, I should say.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, just one example. In my last class, I had a lady in 1997 or 99. There was a huge storm in Switzerland,
Mm.
which blew over a lot of trees. And one of my students, she was actually hit by one of those trees, and very tragically, her mother died in that accident. And she had a partial paralyzation of her back. Her vertebrae were broken, but it didn't cut her spinal cord all the way. So she had many years of recovery, but for example, she couldn't bend her toes and or feel her toes and stuff like that. So we did that. I do it usually in the class, this ultra height session. And in that ultra height session, she really started vibrating, and I could hear her breathe very heavily, and she got really, really hot. And after that, it took her, I don't know, about 10, 15 minutes to actually come back to realizing where she was and everything. It was an amazing thing. And she got up and like, oh my God, I can feel my toes again. I can move them again.
Well,
And that's all the stuff that can happen
okay.
in ultra high. What did I do? I didn't do anything. I guided her through the process, or actually the entire class. And the rest, she was ready to do it herself.
And you know what? I mean, I've been
I mean,
fascinated by the mind-body research and
ah,
placebo and
goodness.
everything else,
Yeah,
what's called placebo, but and that is effectively what the facility you're creating in that for
yeah,
that to happen,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
wonderful. It's truly,
So,
truly.
I mean, it's a wonderful bug to have, this hypno fever.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. No, I
I
absolutely agree.
I love what I do, and I guess if you love what you do, you keep insisting. You don't let, there's sessions where it just doesn't work. I mean,
Yeah,
if it would work 100%, nobody has 100%.
no,
But
absolutely.
don't, I always say, don't let those days ruin, your motivation to
All
do
the good
good and
stuff
to
that
do the
goes
right
on
thing,
each and every day.
and keep thinking or remembering the good stuff that happened, the miracles sometimes, or the daily work, just sending a kid home free of fear or free of bedwetting, or
Absolutely.
all those other things. Those are really the days that you get up for. And if something goes wrong, look at it as a learning experience, and not a
Yeah.
loss
What
or
is
anything.
that? What's the NLP term? Failure is only feedback.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So
Yes,
in Dublin, you're talking about regression to cause.
obviously.
There you go.
I want to spread the word.
That's fully allowed. You know what? With all the other stuff you've covered in the midst of all that, there's a whole lot more you could talk about as well. I could give
Well,
you a whole
yeah,
day
but
for
once you get
yourself,
me
actually.
talking, I don't stop. But
And a
that's
lot
that's
of
a
people will be,
hypnosis disease, I guess. You once they talk.
no, absolutely. And, it is, I mean, like you said, once you love what you do, it almost feels like you're never working a day in your life, ever.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
It's too much fun,
and it's
actually.
beautiful. I can't wait to meet you in Dublin again, Cam, because
Yeah,
it was great fun in Vegas. We had great fun, and I'm looking forward to the same thing.
yeah. Do you also serve scorpions in your beer?
And it's
There it's
not
there's there
standard.
it's in the tequila, but
Yeah, 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 yeah. We'll see what we can organize for you. See a few funny videos running around the place here now.
Oh, I know, I know. Well, you guys have sheep over there. They don't
That's
really
right.
fit. They don't really
They
fit
don't really
into a
fit in the
beer, do they?
glass. No, no, no,
No.
no, no. Well, we'll go searching. We'll overcome people's spider phobias and all kinds of things. We put whatever. We'll come up with something
Yes,
for you.
yes, yes.
Regression to cause versus content free will be resolved over a beer and a scorpion. There you go.
Exactly,
That'll do.
exactly, exactly.
Thanks, thank you so much. I can't wait to see you in Dublin, and
Same here.
it's going to be wonderful. Is it your first time? It is. It's your first time presenting in Ireland, obviously.
Yeah, I've never been to Ireland.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it will be a first, and I'm very excited. I've heard a lot about Ireland, obviously, and they used to sell a soap here in Europe, in Germany, and everything. Was called Irish Frühling, Irish Spring,
All
and
right.
yeah, yeah,
I think I
a
vaguely
soap
remember.
that was like that was 70s, 80s. It was really
All right.
a big commercial on TV all the time.
Yes.
Irish
Okay.
Spring.
There
It's
was
a
water
soap.
here that was called Irish Spring. I don't remember the soap,
Yeah.
but
Well, that's the beer, I guess.
yeah.
Irish
Well,
Spring.
well. Listen, I can't wait to see you in Dublin, and it's
Thank you
going
for
to be
having me, by the way,
great fun for the
for
couple of days.
inviting.
And
Yes.
for everyone, you're going to learn so much from attending Hans' presentation because it really is. It's really really top notch, and he'll have you convinced on regression to cause by the time you're done.
Oh yeah. You will feel like signing up right now for that training.
Listen to everybody watching. All the details are on www.irishhypnotherapyconference.ie, and see you on the 5th and 6th of April for an amazing few days of hypnosis. Have a wonderful
Well,
day wherever you
I'm
are.
looking forward to meeting you all too.
Take care.
Take care.